Subscribe to LearnCab and hit the bell icon to get notified.
Few amendments in the exemption notification. Friends, services of leasing of assets, rolling stock assets including wagons, coaches and locos by the Indian Railway Finance Corporation to the Indian Railways. This exemption has been withdrawn. Friends, around 70% of the assets of Indian Railways are leased by Indian Railway Finance Corporation. And this leasing of assets is a supply of service which is given by Indian Railway Finance Corporation to the Indian Railways. This exemption which was earlier available is now no longer going to be available. The next one, services provided to government administration under any training program for which total expenditure is borne by the government administration. This used to be the entry prior to the amendment. After amendment here, the scope has been widened. The scope of this entry has been widened. Now it says of which 75% or more of the total expenditure is borne by the government administration. So if there is any training program, the services which is provided to government administration under any training program under which 75% or more of the total expenditure. Earlier it was 100% of total expenditure. Now it is 75% or more of the total expenditure. If it is borne by the government administration, that particular service is going to be exempted. Next one, this is a new entry which has been incorporated. Services by way of granting national permit to a goods carriage to operate throughout India or through contiguous state. Friends, if there is any good carriage vehicle which needs to operate pan-India or in contiguous states, it needs to obtain a permit from the government. So when the government is going to give this permit, it is a supply of service which is being given by the government to this goods carriage vehicle. Now this supply of service is exempted. Friends, please understand the permit which is being exempted, the exemption which we are talking about is only to a goods carriage vehicle, and if the permit which is being given, if you are speaking about the permit which is given to a passenger transportation vehicle, then this exemption doesn't cover this. This entry particularly covers the permit which is given to a goods carriage to operate throughout India or through contiguous states. Friends, the next exemption, this exemption which was earlier there up to 30th of September 2021 is now extended to 30th of September 2022. For your examination, if you have already read this, there is not going to be any difference. Whatever the exemption which you have read this is going to still continue and it is going to be there till 30th of September 2022. What is that exemption? Service by way of transportation of goods by an aircraft from customs station of clearance in India to a place outside India. Now friends, let's suppose I am an exporter, I am exporting goods to you as a buyer who is there in foreign country. When I am exporting these goods to you, the buyer who is there in foreign country, this export of goods is a zero rated supply. We are not talking about this transaction of export of goods. For me to deliver these goods to you, I need to engage a transporter. I might send these goods through a vessel or I might send these goods through aircraft. Now friends, when I am sending these goods through an aircraft, so naturally the service supplier is going to be the aircraft operator who is going to transport these goods from India, that is the custom station clearance of place from India to a place outside India. The services which are supplied by this aircraft operator is exempted. Earlier it was exempted up to 30th of September 2021. Now this is extended to 30th of September 2022. Now friends, this was a case what we discussed about aircraft. Now what if I decide to send these goods through a vessel? Now this vessel operator is going to charge me some service charges for delivering these goods from my location, that is from the customs clearance in India to a place outside India to my buyer who is located in foreign country. Whether that also is exempted? The answer is yes, that also is exempted, and that is also extended to 30th of September 2022. So services by way of transportation of goods by a vessel from customs station of clearance in India to a place outside India, this exemption entry is extended till 30th of September 2022. The next amendment is with regard to Rule 138E, an amendment in e-way bill provisions. Friends, before we discuss this amendment is SSC friendly amendment. Before we discuss this amendment, let us discuss a brief background about the Rule 138E. Friends, the government is giving a lot of importance to GST compliance. The government is of the view that if GST compliance is being controlled, if the system is created, if the mechanism is created in such a manner that all the registered persons are forced, all the registered persons are made to file their returns correctly and within due time and within the due date, a lot of tax evasion can be stopped. So therefore, the government through various tools, through various measures are compelling the assessee, pressurizing the registered persons to file their returns within the time with correct figures. What are the various tools which the government is using to threaten the assessees, to threaten the registered persons to file their returns in a proper manner? Those tools are, if you do not file the returns, within due date, which means if you are filing the returns belatedly, of course you are liable to pay late fees under section 47. Since you are filing the returns belatedly, naturally you would also be paying taxes in a belated manner. So therefore there is interest which is going to be levied for delay in payment of interest, late fees for delay in filing the returns, interest for delay in payment of taxes. Furthermore, if you do not file the returns for consecutive tax periods, then your registration itself is liable to be cancelled. There is a provision for cancellation of registration if you are not filing returns for certain consecutive tax periods. Furthermore, if you do not file the returns, then your recipient is not in a position to take credit. So therefore, there is pressure which is mounted, which is created, which is emerging from your recipient side, that if you do not file the returns GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, your recipient is not in a position to take the credit. So therefore, there is a pressure which is created from your recipient's side. And furthermore, friends, if you do not file the returns, that means if you are a return defaulter, you would not be in a position to generate an e-way bill. If you are a return defaulter, you would not be in a position to generate an e-way bill, which means that you will not be able to supply the goods, because if you are going to supply the goods without an e-way bill where e-way bill is required, your goods would be intercepted in transit and huge penalties would be imposed on you. So therefore, the government has also created a mechanism, created a tool wherein if you are a return defaulter, which means that if you are not filing returns, then in those cases you would not be in a position to generate an e-way bill. Now friends, as regards as the last point which we had discussed, that you would not be in a position to generate an e-way bill, the government has travelled very far. Stating that in case if you are a return defaulter, I repeat, in case if you are a return defaulter, you cannot generate an e-way bill. This is agreeable. As far as I am a return defaulter, I would not be in a position to generate an e-way bill for the outward supplies which are being made by me. This is agreeable. This is tolerable. But friends, now the provision of 138E stated that if I am a return defaulter, anywhere in Part A of EWB 01, either as a supplier or as a recipient, if my name is there, e-way bill cannot be generated. I repeat, 138E was such that it travelled to such an extent stating that if I am a return defaulter, if my name is anywhere available in Part A of EWB 01, be it supplier, be it recipient, e-way bill cannot be generated. Therefore, if I want to purchase goods, I am a return defaulter, you are a supplier, you are initiating outward movement of goods to me, you are not a defaulter, I am a defaulter, I am just purchasing the goods, e-way bill cannot be generated. Even though you are not a defaulter, you are the supplier, you have to deliver the goods to me, I cannot purchase the goods. This was 138E as it stood prior to amendment. So friends, what happened? The industry represented stating that this provision is too harsh. This provision is too harsh in the manner that if you are restricting the supplier who is a defaulter from generating an e-way bill for his outward supplies, this is agreeable. But if anywhere in the entire e-way bill, if this person's name is appearing either as the consignor or as the consignee, and if he happens to be a return defaulter, none of them could generate an e-way bill if this person's name is appearing in Part A of EWB 01. This is too harsh a provision and this needs to be trimmed down. So friends, Rule 138E has been trimmed down and it has come down to the effect that if the return defaulter wants to generate an e-way bill for outward supply, then e-way bill cannot be generated. In other circumstances, e-way bill is permitted. Let's have a look at Rule 138E as it stood prior to amendment, and then let's have a look at Rule 138E as it is standing after amendment. So prior to amendment, Notwithstanding anything contained in subrule 1 of rule 138. 138 subrule 1 stated that wherever there is movement of goods exceeding the threshold, the person who is causing movement of goods needs to furnish information in part A of EWB 01. So notwithstanding what is written over there, no person shall be allowed to furnish the information in part A of EWB 01 in respect of a registered person, whether as a supplier or as a recipient who is a return defaulter. All these categories A, B, C are categories of return defaulters. What is return defaulters? We need not discuss this because this is not a scope of amendment. So friends, in short, if you have not filed returns GSTR 3B for consecutive tax periods, for 2 consecutive tax periods, if you have not filed GSTR 1, if you have not filed GSTR 4, all these categories are there. They are return defaulters. We are not going into this because there is no change. So friends, in simple, what we are trying to understand is, if you are a return defaulter prior to amendment, if your name is anywhere involved in EWB 01, you would not be, no person would be allowed to generate an e-way bill. Let's take scenarios. Let's suppose consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is A. So A is the defaulter. Now A wants to generate an e-way bill. A wants to generate an e-way bill, not permissible. Consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is again A. B wants to generate an e-way bill, not possible because the defaulter's name is going to appear in part A of EWB 01, not possible. Consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is B. Consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is B. A wants to generate an e-way bill, not possible. Consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is B. B wants to generate an e-way bill, not possible. Consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter could either be A or it could be B. E-way bill, transporter wants to generate an e-way bill, part A, transporter wants to fill it. This also is not possible. So friends, the essence is, if anywhere in the entire scenario in part A of EWB 01, if return defaulter is involved, EWB 01 cannot be generated. So now industry represented, the amended rule stands as such. Notwithstanding anything contained in subrule 1 of rule 138, no person shall be allowed to furnish the information in part A of EWB 01 in respect of any outward movement of goods of a registered person who is a return defaulter. So friends, in essence, it is simply telling you, if the registered person who is a return defaulter is generating an e-way bill for outward movement of goods. I repeat, if the e-way bill which is going to be generated, if the e-way bill is going to be generated by a return defaulter who is a registered person for outward movement of goods, that cannot be generated. If e-way bill, if the person who is a return defaulter wants to generate an e-way bill for his outward movement of goods, it cannot be done. In other permutations and combinations, that is possible. Let's have a look at the scenarios. Let's say the consignor is A, the consignee is B, defaulter is A. That means A is a return defaulter. EWB for outward movement of goods. Let's take this scenario. I am the consignor, you are the consignee, I am the return defaulter. Now this is a case where I am supposed to deliver the goods to you. Now when I am supposed to deliver the goods to you, let us assume that according to our understanding, I am supposed to generate an e-way bill. So therefore, I log into the e-way bill portal, I give in my credentials, I give in my user ID and password. Now when I am going to select the reason, for me the reason is going to be outward movement of goods, because now for me it is a supply which I am making to you. Would I be in a position to generate an e-way bill? The answer is no. Scenario number 2. Please understand, scenario number 2. Consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is A. Again, defaulter is A. Now, can I generate an e-way bill for outward movement of goods? The answer is no. Next scenario. Can you generate an e-way bill for inward movement of goods? Friends, please understand, what does 138A restrict? It says no person shall be able to furnish information in part A in respect of any outward movement of goods of a registered person who is a return defaulter. In this case, now friends, I cannot generate an e-way bill, but I ask you to generate an e-way bill. you go to your e-way bill portal, given your login credentials, your user ID and password, you want to generate an e-way bill. I would be a consignor, you would be a consignee. For you, it is going to be inward movement of goods. Are you barred under 138E to generate an e-way bill? The answer is no. So therefore, can you generate an e-way bill? Yes, you can generate an e-way bill. So now friends, please understand what is the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2. In scenario 1 and scenario 2, I am the supplier, you are the recipient. This is common. Fine. In scenario 1, when I was supposed to generate an e-way bill, it was not possible for me because for me it was outward movement of goods. Therefore, it was not possible. In scenario number 2, you are going to generate an e-way bill. For you, it is inward movement of goods. So therefore, for you, it is possible to generate an e-way bill. Now friends, you may question, then where is the requirement of 138E? Where is the requirement of 138E wherein all of them would opt for scenario number 2 and therefore 138E itself would be bypassed. Everybody would opt for scenario number 2 and e-way bill could be generated. So how is the purpose, the objective of 138E being served? Friends, the objective still it is being served. Although not in the manner it was being there, it was not too harsh how it was there prior to amendment, but still now also the objective is being served. Let's talk about the scenario. Let's say I am the supplier, you are the recipient. I need to deliver these goods to you. Fine, I need to deliver these goods to you. So therefore, I am initiating the movement of goods. I am supposed to raise an invoice. I am supposed to generate an e-way bill and I am supposed to deliver the goods to you. So therefore, naturally, what would you ask me? You would ask me to deliver these goods to you. And the moment the goods are delivered at your site, you are going to make the payment to me. So now friends, since I know that I am a return defaulter and I know that I am not in a position to generate an e-way bill, I would not be in a position to deliver the goods to you without generating an e-way bill. I request you that can you please generate an e-way bill? Now friends, the moment I ask you, can you generate an e-way bill? What is going to be the natural question which you are going to ask me? You are going to ask me, why not am I generating an e-way bill? Because I know the delivery time, I know the vehicle number, so why not am I generating an e-way bill? Why not am I furnishing information in part A for my outward movement of goods? Then I would inform you, because I am a return defaulter under 138E, I am restricted from generating an e-way bill, from furnishing information in part A of EWB01. The moment I say this, it would be an alert for you. Why would it be an alert for you? Now you would start thinking that I am a return defaulter. Therefore, 138E is hitting me, which means that I might have not filed my GSTR 1. I might not have filed my GSTR 3B. I might not have paid taxes against the supplies which I have made. So therefore, you would get serious doubts about eligibility of credit for this supply which I am now making to you. You might think that against this supply which I am now making to you, what if I do not file my GSTR 1? This credit would not appear in your GSTR 2B and you would not be in a position to take credit. You would start feeling the risk of the transaction. So therefore, now you would indirectly this particular provision 138E would indirectly create a pressure upon me from my customers. My customers would start questioning me. My goodwill would be hampered. So therefore, what I would first do is whatever is the pending dues, whatever is the pending returns which are there, I would first file them and clear myself off the tag of the return defaulter. So this is an indirect pressure which is going to be mounted from the recipient's side. Even though in scenario number 2, e-way bill could be generated, please think practically. In all the cases, me as a supplier, if I am supposed to deliver the goods to you, would I be comfortable? Would it be easy enough for me to ask to generate an e-way bill, to ask my customer to generate an e-way bill? Because naturally in this case, my goodwill is going to be hampered. So friends, scenario A and scenario B, the difference is in scenario B, e-way bill could be generated, but of course at the cost of some loss in goodwill. Scenario number 3, consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is B. Defaulter is B. For outward movement of goods, so A wants to generate an e-way bill. For outward movement of goods, is it possible? Yes, because now the person who wants to generate an e-way bill for outward movement of goods is not a defaulter. Scenario number 4, consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is B. Now it is for inward movement of goods. If you have gone through, listen to the wordings carefully of 138E, you would not be facing any confusion. Friends, please understand, I am the supplier, you are the recipient, you are the defaulter. For some reason, I ask you to generate an e-waybill to furnish information in Part A. Would that be possible? Friends, what does 138E tell you? 138E tells you, in respect of any outward movement of goods of a return defaulter, Part A would not be furnished. Now friends, are you a return defaulter? Yes. Are you attempting to generate an e-waybill? Yes. But is it for your outward movement of goods? The answer is no. It is for your inward movement of goods. This is not restricted by 138E. Here also it is possible. So friends, all that you need to remember is, in respect of outward movement of goods of a return defaulter, information in Part A of EWB 01 cannot be furnished. So friends, what is the difference? The difference is in this table, scenario prior to amendment and scenario post amendment. The consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is A. In respect of outward e-waybill, prior to amendment not possible, post amendment also not possible. Consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is A. In respect of inward e-waybill, prior to amendment it was not possible, post amendment possible. Consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is B. In respect of outward movement of goods, prior to amendment not possible, post amendment possible. Consignor is A, consignee is B, defaulter is B. This is in case of inward e-waybill, inward movement of goods, inward e-waybill, pre-amendment not possible, post-amendment is possible. So friends, here in all these cases there is relaxation. This amendment is SSC friendly. A new entry has been added in the notification which is being issued under 13 subsection 13 of the IGST Act. Now friends, this entry was already there with respect to an aircraft. This entry was already there with respect to an aircraft. The entry which has been now added is with respect to a vessel. So friends, let's have a brief discussion of what was the entry which was already there with respect to an aircraft. Let's suppose friends, there's a foreign aircraft which comes to India, and during its voyage in India, it wants to get MRO services of this aircraft which is there in India. What is MRO services? It is maintenance, repair and overall services. Let's say Hindustan Aeronautics Limited is going to carry out MRO services for this foreign aircraft. Now friends, the supplier of service is located in India. The recipient of service, this foreign aircraft, is located outside India. Amount assuming it is going to come in convertible foreign currency. So now friends, can we call this as an export of service? The answer is no. You cannot call this straight away as an export of service. You need to explore what is the place of supply. Place of supply in case of export of service needs to be outside India, and of course the supplier and recipient should not be merely establishment of distinct persons. In this case it is not so. Both are independent entities. But what we need to evaluate is the place of supply. Now friends, coming to the place of supply, section 13. Section 13 speaks about place of supply where the supplier or the recipient is located outside India. In this case, the recipient is located outside India. Now, he is making this aircraft available to the supplier of service so that he can supply his services on this aircraft. So, therefore, this is performance-based services. For performance-based services, what is the place of supply? The place of supply shall be the location where the services are actually performed. The services are actually performed in India. Now friends, since the services are actually performed in India, the place of supply happens to be in India. Since the place of supply is India, it cannot be called as an export of services. Resultantly, it cannot be a zero rated supply. But friends, the issue was internationally these type of services are regarded as export of service. Internationally, these type of service are regarded as export of service. So now friends, according to the provisions of section 13, the place of supply happens to be in India. According to 13 subsection 3, the place of supply happens to be in India. Therefore, this is not fitting into export of service. But since internationally it is regarded as an export of service, so therefore, the government using the powers under 13 subsection 13, if it is notifying this particular service wherein the place of supply can be shifted to the location of service recipient. If by notifying the service under 13 subsection 13, if the place of supply can be shifted to the location of recipient, this would qualify as an export of service. What was the reason why this was not getting qualified as an export of service? Because the place of supply was place of performance. If the place of supply shifted from being place of performance to the location of service recipient, then this may qualify as an export of service. Resultantly, it could be a zero rated supply. So friends, in this case, there was a notification. Government has got powers under 13 subsection 13 to notify any supply, of service where the place of supply could be the effective use and enjoyment of service, which is essentially the location of recipient of service. So therefore, there was a notification 4/2019. It stated that supply of maintenance, repair or overall services in respect of aircrafts, aircraft engines and other aircraft components or parts supplied to a person for use in the course or furtherance of business. So friends, for this supply, the place of supply of service shall be the location of recipient of service. So therefore friends, after this notification, what happened is whenever a foreign aircraft comes to India and MRO services are being supplied, location of supplier in India, location of recipient outside India, place of supply is going to be the location of recipient by virtue of this notification, amount received in converted foreign currency, supplier and recipient not establishment of distinct persons. In these cases, it would be qualified as an export of service. Resultantly, it would result into a zero rated supply. So friends, pre-notification, there was no zero rating. Post-notification, yes, there is zero rating. Friends, even the vice versa scenario we need to analyze. Let's suppose wherever an Indian aircraft is going outside India and outside India some foreign company is doing MRO services on it. What would be the scenario? Location of supplier outside India, location of recipient inside India, place of supply. After issuance of this notification, place of supply is the location of recipient, which means place of supply is in India. It would now get qualified as an import of service wherein GST would be payable under reverse charge mechanism. So friends, so far whatever we have discussed, there's no change in it. What we have discussed was already there. MRO services in respect of aircraft, aircraft engines and other aircraft components or parts. If it is supplied to a person for use in the course of furtherance of business, the place of supply shall be the location of recipient of service. Now friends, since this notification covered only aircraft, aircraft engines and other aircraft components or parts, it did not cover vessels. So therefore, there was representation, and thereafter by adding the entry in this very same notification, the scope of MRO services, it is extended to aircrafts as well as vessels. So now friends, the entry says supply of maintenance, repair or overall services in respect of ships and other vessels, their engines, other components and parts supplied to a person for use in the course of furtherance of business. The place of supply shall be the location of recipient of service. So friends, the treatment which is given to aircrafts, its parts and components and engines, the same treatment is being extended by virtue of this amendment to ships and other vessels, their engines, their components and parts. Next, we will discuss upon certain miscellaneous issues and solution in refund. Now, just to brush up the basics so that we understand these issues in a better manner, the time limit for making a refund application, it happens to be 2 years from the relevant date. Now, what is relevant date? Relevant date, different scenarios are having different relevant dates. Let's say in the case of exports. For the case of exports, if it is export by sea or air, it is the date when the ship or aircraft leaves India. That becomes the relevant date. From that date, a period of 2 years is there for making a refund application. So now, just to briefly brush up the basics of the process of refund application, you make an application for refund. After making an application for refund, if the refund application is found complete in respect of documentation, the officer would be giving an acknowledgement for it. Or if it is incomplete, he would be issuing a deficiency memo. He would be rejecting the refund application and he would be issuing a deficiency memo. Once a deficiency memo is being issued, a fresh refund application needs to be filed. No reply could be given to that deficiency memo. Once a deficiency memo is being issued for deficiency in the application, it means your refund application has been rejected. The application has been rejected. In this case, you need to file a fresh refund application. So it could be two scenarios. One, you receive an acknowledgement, you make an application for refund. Either you receive an acknowledgement or you receive a deficiency memo. If you are receiving a deficiency memo, you need to furnish a fresh refund application. Assuming you did not receive a deficiency memo, you received an acknowledgement stating that your refund application has been accepted. Thereafter, the officer would scrutinize the application. He would scrutinize whether in reality refund is being eligible to be sanctioned or not. Now, it could be a case where the officer wants further more information, or the officer is of the opinion that in this case refund is not eligible to the applicant. In this case, can he reject it straight away? The answer is no. He needs to furnish an opportunity of being heard. So therefore, he would be giving a show cause notice. So show cause notice would be given stating that why this refund application should not be rejected, why this amount which has been applied in this refund should not be granted to you. So in this case, the applicant, after receiving the show cause notice, in this case what would happen is, friends, please understand the difference between the deficiency memo which is being issued and the difference between show cause notice which is being given. As regards this deficiency memo, there was a defect in the documents. There are certain mandatory documents which needs to be furnished along with the refund application. There was defect in the application itself. The officer has not gone into the merits of the case. The required documents which are there, which should be given along with the refund application so that the officer is able to evaluate the claim for refund itself, are not present. So therefore, he rejects the application for want of sufficient documents. Now, in case of show cause notice, the officer has formed a prima facie view that in this case the refund is not eligible to the assessee. After having scrutinized the application, he is of the view that the refund is not eligible to the assessee. Therefore, he serves a show cause notice. A reply to the show cause notice comes. If the officer is accepting the reply, if he is satisfied with the reply, he would give a refund sanction order, sanctioning the refund. If he is not satisfied with the reply, the officer is still of the opinion that this applicant is not eligible for refund, he would still pass an order, but in this order he would say he is rejecting the refund claim. So if the order is sanctioning the refund claim, there is no issue. This is what the assessee, the applicant, wanted. If officer is passing an order rejecting the refund claim, stating that according to the officer this refund is not eligible to the assessee, an order is being passed. Now, after receiving this order, for this particular period, for this particular amount for which refund has been claimed, a fresh refund application cannot be filed, because now in this case you have already filed it. The officer has evaluated it. After the officer has evaluated it, he has rejected the claim. According to the officer, refund is not eligible to you. So now, after that, for the same tax period, for the same ground, you cannot file an application to the same officer because the matter is already decided by the same officer. So what remedy do you have? If you are still of the opinion that no refund is eligible to you, you can go and file an appeal against this refund order which is being given. So friends, this is the brief background what we had discussed. In this background, in this scheme of things, our focus, the reason why we have discussed this is just to appreciate this issue of deficiency memo. So now friends, as we all know, if a deficiency memo is being served against a refund application, I repeat, if a deficiency memo in RFD 03 is being served against a refund application, here the officer has not gone into the merits of the case. Deficiency memo is being served only for the reason that the required documentation are not submitted along with the refund application, so that the officer is not in a position to evaluate the refund claim. That is the purpose of deficiency memo. So therefore, against a deficiency memo, a fresh refund application can be filed again. But however, against an order which is being passed rejecting the refund claim, a fresh application cannot be filed. So friends, with this background, now we move on to see that when a deficiency memo is being issued by the officer saying that the required documentation are not uploaded, the documentation which is there according to the rules, which is mandatory to be given by the applicant, they are not provided. So therefore, the officer is not in a position to evaluate this particular claim which is being made. In those cases, what is the difficulty which is being faced? Let's have a look. Let's have an example. Now friends, let's say the date of export. We are taking the case of export as an example. The date of export is 1st of January 2022. The last date for making a refund application, it happens to be 2 years from the relevant date. Relevant date in case of exports which is made under LUT. In case of exports which is made under LUT. In case of, let's suppose, if the mode of exports was through ship, it is the date when the ship or aircraft ship leaves India. So let's say the date of export, the date on which the ship left India was 1st of January 2022. What is going to be the last date for refund application against this particular export transaction? It is 2 years from the relevant date, so it is going to be 1st of January 2024. Now, refund is applied on 31st of December 2023, well within the due date. Status RFD 06, it is being approved, which means whatever is the applicant which he has claimed, that refund amount he has got. So what is going to be the next action? Next action is not going to be anything, because now the officer has given the refund, the applicant has received it, this is what the applicant wanted, the matter gets settled. Scenario number 2, 1st January 22, same case, last date for refund application 1st of January 2024, refund is being applied on 31st of December 2023, well within the time limits. Now in this case, RFD 06 order is being given, but here the refund claim is rejected. Now when the refund claim is rejected, in this case, what is going to be the next action? Can this applicant file yet another application for the same export? The answer is no. The answer is no, because this matter has already been decided. So therefore, you cannot repeatedly go on asking the same thing with the same officer. If you are aggrieved, if you are not satisfied with this decision of the officer, you can go and file an appeals. Appeals could be preferred. The next scenario, this is the issue which we are now going to discuss. The issue is, let's say, 1st of January 2022 is the date of export. The last date for refund application, 1st of January 2024, 2 years from relevant date. Refund is applied on. Refund is applied on 31st of December 2023. Refund is applied on 31st of December 2023. It is well within the time limits. Now, friends, please understand, once the refund application is being made, the officer, if he is satisfied with the completeness of the refund application, he would be serving an acknowledgement. If he is not satisfied with the completeness of the refund application, without going into the merits of the case, if he is not satisfied with the completeness of refund application, he would be serving a deficiency memo. And friends, the time limit within which he has got is 15 days. And friends, please understand, acknowledgement and deficiency memo are mutually exclusive. If he has given an acknowledgement, he cannot give a deficiency memo. If he has served a deficiency memo, he cannot issue an acknowledgement, because acknowledgement means he is satisfied with the completeness of application. Deficiency memo is not satisfied with the completeness of application, therefore he is rejecting the application. The applicant can reapply it again. So now the time limit which is there is 15 days. So an acknowledgement or a deficiency memo would be issued within a period of 15 days from the date of filing RFD 01. Now friends, let's take a case where a deficiency memo is being served. Within 15 days it needs to be served. On which date was the refund applied? 31st of December 2023. Deficiency memo is being served on 10th of January 2024. Deficiency memo, well within 15 days, served on 10th of January 2024. Agreed? The answer is yes. Now, when a deficiency memo is coming, are you going to go for an appeal against it? The answer is no. Can you make a fresh application? The answer is yes, because since the application was not complete, the officer served a deficiency memo, you can complete it, whatever is the required defect which the officer has noted that this particular statement or this particular document is not attached, you can attach it again by filing another application. So friends, what is the next action? The next action is reapply. Now friends, the question is, when the next action is reapply, when I am going to reapply, would I again be seeing the time limit? Friends, please concentrate. Now I am going to make a fresh application. Initial application what I have made, against which deficiency memo was served, that gets closed, that gets nullified. Now after having received the deficiency memo, I need to make an application for refund again. It is going to start all over from zero again. Now when I am going to make a fresh application for refund, let's suppose I received the deficiency memo on 10th of January 2024. Now when I am going to make an application for refund, what was the last date before which the refund application should have been made? The last date was 1st of January 2024. I received the deficiency memo on 10th of January 2024. Let's suppose I make a refund application on say 12th of January 2024. Have I crossed the period of limitation that I need to make an application within a period of 2 years from the relevant date? Within a period of 2 years from the relevant date, my last date happened to be 1st of January 2024. Now when I am going to reapply this, have I already crossed the period of limitation? So now friends, this is a genuine concern which this applicant is being faced, which this applicant is facing. This is a genuine concern. If this concern is not solved. If this concern is not solved, what would happen? In all these fag end cases, the officer, for some reason or the other, he would just serve a deficiency memo. And when deficiency memo is being served, and thereafter the first application was within the time limit, a deficiency memo can be strategically served by the officer so that when he is making the next refund application, he has already crossed the period of limitation. If this genuine concern is not being addressed, there could be genuine hardships which this applicant is going to be facing. So therefore, what's the solution? The solution is over here. The solution, rule number 90 sub rule 3, there is a proviso which is being inserted. The proviso states that provided that the time period from the date of filing of the refund claim in RFD 01 till the date of communication of deficiency in form RFD 03 by the proper officer shall be excluded from the period of 2 years as specified in 54 subsection 1 in respect of any such fresh refund claim filed by the applicant after rectification of the deficiencies. So what does it state? It states that the date from which you make the refund application till the date on which deficiency memo is being served, that particular period would be excluded while computing the period of limitation. So this particular period needs to be excluded. So now in this case, we'll evaluate the same example. 1st of January 2022, the date of export. Last date for refund application 1st of January 2024. Refund is applied on 31st of December 2023, just one day before the last date. Now, status RFD 03, a deficiency memo was being issued on 10th of January 2024. Now, when a deficiency memo was issued on 10th of January 2024, now what is the next action? I am going to make a fresh application. Now, when I am going to make a fresh application, I need to check the period of limitation, and while checking the period of limitation according to the proviso which is there in 90 sub rule 3, that particular proviso states that while computing the period of limitation, the date on which I made the application till the date on which deficiency memo was being issued, this particular period would be excluded while computing the period of limitation, which means that from the period of limitation these days I would be getting additional over and above these 2 years. So therefore, the date of application for refund 31st of December, deficiency memo served on 10th of January. So this period of 10 days, needs to be excluded. So therefore, what was the last date for refund application? It is 1st of January 2024. I add 10 days to it. So therefore, by 11th of January 2024, I can make a fresh application for refund. If I make a fresh application for refund consequent to this deficiency memo which is being served on 10th of January 2024, if the fresh application for refund is made on 11th of January 2024, it is a valid refund application filed within the period of limitation. However, if I am filing a refund application after 11th of January 2024, this would be barred by period of limitation. I am sure you are able to follow this. So friends, example number 2, let's say the date of export was 1st of January 2022. This provision we have already discussed. We are just trying to understand this provision through another example. Date of export is 1st of January 2022. Last date for filing refund application 1st January 2024. Refund is applied on 30th of November 2023, well before 1 month from the last date. Now, deficiency memo is being issued on 10th of December 2023. Deficiency memo is being issued on 10th of December 2023. Now friends, please understand, when deficiency memo is issued on 10th of December 2023, my last date for filing refund application is 1st January 2024. I still have around 21 days in my hand to file a refund application again, even without reading this proviso. Please understand it carefully. Even without reading this proviso, still I have a period of around 21 days to make a fresh application for refund, because I made on 30th of November. He gave me a deficiency memo on 10th of December 2023. However, the last date for making a refund application is 1st of January 2024. I do still have ample amount of time to file a fresh refund application. But even in this scenario, would this proviso still apply? The answer is yes, this proviso would still apply, because this proviso nowhere tells you that only when you do not have sufficient time, this proviso will come into force. This proviso blanketly gives an exemption, blanketly gives a relaxation that while computing the period of limitation, the period between the date of application till the date of communication of deficiency shall stand excluded from the period of limitation. So therefore, whether you have sufficient time or not, it doesn't matter. All that you get is certain additional time. What is the additional time? The additional time in this case is again 10 days from 30th of November 2023 till 10th of December 2023. So these are the 10 additional days which you are going to get. So your last date for application for refund of 1st January 2024. What is the solution? You can reapply. What is going to be the last date before which you are going to reapply? 1st January 2024 plus additional 10 days, 11th of January 2024. So this is the time limit which you have got, within which you can reapply for this refund application. In this case, you can reapply for this case of refund. Now friends, as regards as this proviso is concerned, this is as far as examination is concerned. For examination, if you remember this is more than sufficient. All that you need to remember is, while computing the period of limitation, the period between the date on which application was made and the period between starting from the date on which application was made and ending with the date on which deficiency was communicated, this particular period, this particular window would be excluded while computing the period of limitation, which means that you need to find out what is the last date on which application should have been made, add this window to that last date, and that becomes your revised last date for the purpose of making a refund application. I'm sure you're able to follow this. However, just one observation on this is, by this proviso, practically, in still many of the cases, the assessee doesn't get a solution. The applicant doesn't get a solution. Let's take the first case itself. In the serial number 1, when was the deficiency memo being issued? Deficiency memo was issued on 10th of January 2024. What is the revised last date? What is the revised last date? The revised last date happens to be 11th of January 2024, which means that he needs to reapply. For this particular case, an application needs to be made again after rectifying the deficiency. But what is the breathing time which is getting? He was notified about this deficiency on 10th of January and he is supposed to reapply on 11th of January. He's got only 1 day in his hand. This is too short a time. This is too short a time for him to take any action to rectify the deficiencies. Moreover, in this particular aspect of refund, in various cases, deficiency memos are communicated through email. Deficiency memos are just dropped in the portal. So when deficiency memos are just dropped in the portal, communicated through email, it may happen that this applicant might not have noticed this deficiency memo. And what if this particular applicant notices this deficiency memo, let's say on 12th of Jan or 13th of Jan, where he has already crossed the time limit, even the revised time limit for making an application for refund. So therefore, just by excluding this particular thing, the purpose doesn't get solved in all cases. There are still many cases where, example what we had seen, there is very limited time which is available with the applicant within which he has to take an action. So therefore, what could have been done is, once a refund application is being made, within the time limits, and thereafter its deficiency memo is being served. Thereafter, if deficiency memo is being served, at least some, let's say 15 to 20 days or 1 month should have been given for them to reapply. This could have been a better provision where all the aspects of this particular assessee is being solved, that you make a refund application within the time limit if a deficiency memo is being served. Whenever the deficiency memo comes, after that you have at least 30 days of time limit for them to make a reapplication for refund. So therefore, this is as far as the practicality was concerned. But friends, as far as law is concerned, as far as examination is concerned, we are pretty clear about it. As far as examination, how do you find out the time limit? It is very simple. 2 years from the relevant date. You know what is relevant date? Yes. From that you take 2 years. And in between you make an application, and if a deficiency memo is being served, the period between starting from the date of making an application ending till the deficiency is being communicated, this particular period needs to be excluded while computing the period of limitation, which means that the existing last date for making an application, add this window to it, that becomes the revised date for making an application. Withdrawal of refund application. Friends, the moment a refund application is being made, now the ball goes to the officer's court. If the officer finds the refund application is complete in all respects, he would give an acknowledgement, Otherwise, he would serve a deficiency memo. Now, there could be cases where after refund application is being made, the assessee wants to withdraw that application for refund. Now, why does the assessee wants to withdraw the application for refund where he himself has made an application for refund? Let's take a practical example so that you understand the scenario in a better manner. So, refund applied 30th of January 2022. What is this case? This is a case of application of refund of accumulated input tax credit against the zero rated supplies which is made under LUT. So, what is the refund amount which is being applied? It is 5 lakh rupees. This application is being made on 30th of January 2022. Refund amount is 5 lakhs. Now, the moment you make an application for refund out of your accumulated input tax credit, when you're making an application for refund, naturally your electronic credit ledger would get debited because you are asking for a refund from your electronic credit ledger. So, supposing your electronic credit ledger had a balance of 5,10,000, you are applying for a refund of 5 lakh rupees, your electronic credit ledger would get debited. Now, your electronic credit ledger would have a balance of 10,000. This electronic credit ledger which got debited to the extent of 5 lakh rupees, now this needs to be decided by the officer. If the officer feels, if the officer of the opinion that yes, this refund amount is eligible to you, this 5 lakh would now travel from your electronic credit ledger, it gets credited to your bank account. So, if the refund is sanctioned, it is a journey of this 5 lakhs from your electronic credit ledger to your bank account. If the officer is of the opinion that this refund is not eligible to you, and if he is rejecting this refund claim, then in those cases, this 5 lakh rupees which was debited from your electronic credit ledger has to be recredited again to your electronic credit ledger. Now, in between, it could be a case where the officer feels that the refund application is not complete. He gives a deficiency memo. If he gives a deficiency memo, what is the consequence? You need to file a fresh refund application. So, when you are going to file a fresh refund application, is again your electronic credit ledger going to be debited? The answer is yes. But was it already debited? The answer is yes. So, what happens? So, whenever an officer is giving a deficiency memo, at that time, whatever was the amount which got debited from the electronic credit ledger, that stands recredited. So, this is the process what we had seen. So, now, if the refund is applied on 30th of January 2022, the refund amount is 5 lakh rupees, assuming the balance in your electronic credit ledger was 5,10,000 rupees. So, this 5 lakh got debited because this is what you want it in your bank account from your electronic credit ledger. So, therefore, your electronic credit ledger got debited. After your electronic credit ledger got debited, you have a balance of 10,000 rupees. You have a balance of rupees 10,000 in your electronic credit ledger. Now, to your surprise, on 31st of January, you got a new local order. You got a new domestic order. You received the order and you supplied the goods. You received the order and you supplied the goods. GST on the domestic supply which is being made in your invoice, you had charged to the extent of 6 lakh. Now, friends, please understand. You made an application for refund on 30th of January. Amount of refund was 5 lakhs. Therefore, it got debited from your electronic credit ledger. 10,000 is the balance which is there in your electronic credit ledger after you made an application for refund. Even post application of refund, you got on 31st of January, you got a new domestic order. Against the order, on the very same day you supplied the goods, you raised an invoice. GST thereon was 6 lakh rupees. Now, friends, what's the issue? The issue is you made an application on 30th of January. Naturally, you would not have got an order on 31st of January. The refund processing is not so fast. So, therefore, now what is the time limit which the officer has got to take any action? Acknowledgement, he has got 15 days. After that 15 days, let's suppose he is giving an acknowledgement on 15th day. After that, can he sanction you provisional refund? It is a case of exports under LUT. Fine. Provisional refund, he's got another 7 days from the date on which he issued an acknowledgement. Let's suppose he's going to give you a provisional refund of 90% on 7th day counted from 15th day. So, therefore, the officer has got near about time of 22 days. 15 plus 7, 22 days to sanction provisional refund to you. The maximum time limit is what I'm talking about, and this is usually the time limit which happens practically as well. So, now you made an application for refund of 30th of January. In this case, if the officer is acting within the time limits, in most of the cases they don't. If the officer is acting within the time limits, then you will be getting the refund. The maximum time is going to be, let's suppose 22 days. So it is naturally going to be, let's suppose on 20th or 21st. Now, the question is, have you got some GST liability to pay? Now, this time limit of refund which needs to be given to you, this is only if the officer is acting within the time limits which is prescribed in law. If he is going to take his own sweet time. In those cases, what would happen? You made an application for refund. Your electronic credit ledger got debited by 5 lakh rupees. Now, this is lying in the officer's court. He would sanction a refund. He may not sanction a refund. He might be of the opinion that this refund is not eligible to you. Again, it would come and sit in your electronic credit ledger. Now, the point which we are trying to highlight over here is, for the month of January, you are supposed to discharge your taxes. You are supposed to discharge your taxes by 20th of February. Now, the point is, had you not made an application for refund, your electronic credit ledger balance would have been 5,10,000 rupees. Your liability which you need to discharge is 6 lakh rupees. All that you need to pay is only additional 90,000 rupees. But since you have made an application for refund, your electronic credit ledger got debited by 5 lakh. The only balance which is remaining in your credit ledger is 10,000 rupees. What is the GST liability? 6 lakhs. Now, this 6 lakh rupees, 10,000 is there in your credit ledger. 5,90,000 rupees is what you need to pay through your electronic cash ledger. Are you going to face a working capital problem? The answer is yes. Wouldn't it be wise? Wouldn't it be in favor of your working capital management if on 30th you made an application, 31st you received an order, 31st you supplied it, you know that your liability is 6 lakh rupees. So therefore, the refund application which I have made, let me call that refund application back. Let me withdraw that refund application back, and the moment I am going to withdraw that refund application back, the 5 lakh rupees my electronic credit ledger which got debited, let that credit travel back to my electronic credit ledger. My electronic credit ledger balance would now become 5,10,000 rupees. Now 6 lakhs is the liability which I am supposed to discharge. So therefore, I need to invest only additional 90,000. And friends, please understand, refund, is it mandatory to make a refund application? The answer is no. Making a refund application is your choice. If you want, you can encash the credit. If you do not want, you set it off against local supplies. So now, in this case, this particular applicant wants to withdraw the refund application. So far, what we have discussed, we have not seen any provision for withdrawal of refund application. To address this issue, they have brought in a provision for withdrawal of refund application. There could be another scenario. Let's say the same set of facts, 30th of January, you made a refund application. Refund amount is 5 lakh rupees. The amount got debited. The balance in your electronic credit ledger is 10,000 rupees. Now, after you make a refund application, thereafter, certain facts come to your notice and you get to know that this refund is ineligible. That this refund amount is ineligible. I repeat, after you make a refund application, you yourself assess, and after an application is being made, you get to know that this amount of refund is ineligible. So therefore, when I myself know that this is ineligible, why to wait for the officer's call? He would give a show cause notice, thereafter I have to reply, thereafter he would pass an order, thereafter the amount would come into my electronic credit ledger. Why to stretch it so long? When I myself know after making a refund application, why cannot I withdraw this refund application on my own and let this amount come to my electronic credit ledger? So this could also be a scenario where refund is found ineligible after an application is being made. So therefore, do you want to withdraw it? The answer is yes. So now, in any scenario, these are the examples what we have discussed, that why an applicant may want to withdraw the refund application. But these are only examples. In any scenario, if the applicant wants to withdraw the refund application, he is in a position to do so. Let's have a look. 90 sub rule 5. The applicant may at any time before the issuance of provisional refund sanction order or final refund sanction order or payment order or refund withhold order or show cause notice in RFD 08 in respect of any refund application filed in RFD 01, he can withdraw the said application for refund by filing an application in RFD 01W. So friends, what is that we need to remember? You made a refund application, the officer gave an acknowledgement. After giving an acknowledgement, can you withdraw it? The answer is yes. You made a refund application, the officer gave a deficiency memo. Now, after the moment the officer gave a deficiency memo, there is no requirement for you to withdraw it, because the moment deficiency memo is being given, the amount would automatically travel to your credit ledger. So therefore, you made an application, he gave an acknowledgement, can you withdraw? Yes. You gave an application, he gave a deficiency memo, there is no requirement to withdraw. Now, you gave an application, he gave an acknowledgement, and he also gave a show cause notice. Can you now withdraw? The answer is no. He gave a provisional refund order. Can you now withdraw? The answer is no. He gave a final refund order. Can you now withdraw? The answer is no. He gave an order for withholding the refund. Can you now withdraw? The answer is no. So therefore, here what we get to know is, till when can the refund application be withdrawn? Here it is being told, let's read it again. Applicant may at any time before the issuance of provisional refund sanction order, final refund sanction order, payment order, refund withhold order, or notice in RFD 08 in respect of any refund application, he may withdraw the said refund application. Now, what happens if you withdraw? Let's have a look. On submission of application for withdrawal of refund in RFD 01W, any amount which is debited by the applicant from the electronic credit ledger or cash ledger, as the case may be, while filing the application for refund, shall be credited back to the ledger from which such debit was made. So friends, in simple terms, the applicant has got an option to withdraw the refund application which is being made before what? Before either the provisional order or the final order or the show cause notice or the payment advice or the refund withholding order. If it does so, the amount which was debited either from the cash ledger or from the credit ledger would stand recredited. I am sure you are able to appreciate this. The next one issue with relevant date. Now friends, grounds for refund. In case if a wrong tax is being paid, let's suppose a supply was actually interstate supply. A supply was, according to law, it was supposed to be qualified as an interstate supply. IGST should have been paid, but I assumed it to be an intrastate supply, and I have paid CGST and SGST. So these are the wrong taxes which are being paid. This is the correct tax which is supposed to be paid. We all know Section 77 of CGST Act and Section 19 of the IGST Act, they allow a refund of wrong taxes which is being paid. But when you pay the correct taxes first, and then whatever is the wrong taxes which are paid, you can make an application for refund. Now friends, let us link this with the relevant date. What is the relevant date? The relevant date is date of payment of tax. Of course, all refund application needs to be made within a period of 2 years from the relevant date. What is the case of relevant date? The relevant date, now I am applying for a refund of wrong tax which is being paid. So when I am going to apply for a refund of wrong tax which is being paid, from that particular date of payment of wrong tax plus 2 years, I can make an application for refund. Let's take a scenario. Wrong taxes was being paid on 26th of January 2022. Now, this is a case where it is held that these are the wrong taxes which is being paid. So therefore, on 26th of June 2024, I repeat, please follow the facts very carefully. The officer states that on 26th of June 2024, the officer is stating that you had paid a wrong tax on 26th of January 2022. Now in this case, first, what is supposed to do? You are supposed to pay the correct taxes. So the correct taxes are paid on 26th of June 2024. Yes. After paying the correct taxes, can you make an application for refund? The answer is yes. You can make an application of refund of what? Correct taxes paid or wrong taxes paid? Wrong taxes paid. Wrong taxes was paid on 26th of January 2022. So now, the date of payment of tax, 26th of January 2022 plus 2 years to it. So plus 2 years to it is what? It is 26th of January 2024. Your last date has already expired even before you have paid the correct taxes. Even before you got to know that you had actually paid wrong taxes, even before you got to know of the fact, your date has already expired. So therefore, is the assessee in some deep trouble? The answer is yes. So therefore, what should be the solution? The ideal solution should be from the date on which you are paying the correct tax, because here there is no malified intention. from the date on which you are paying the correct taxes. From that particular date, you count the relevant date. You start counting 2 years from the date on which correct taxes are being paid. This would be the ideal solution to this issue. So therefore, 89(1)(a), any person who is claiming a refund under section 77 of the Act of any tax paid by him in respect of a transaction considered by him to be an intrastate supply, but which is subsequently held to be an interstate supply, he may, before the expiry of period of 2 years, from which date? From the date of payment of the tax on the interstate supply. So which means from the date of payment of correct tax. In our example, 26th of June 2024. He may file an application electronically in RFD 01 through the common portal, either directly or through a facilitation center as notified by the commissioner. So this is one change which we have discussed. The point is, it is 2 years from the relevant date. The answer is yes. In this case, even though the relevant date is the date of payment of taxes, but however, to solve this practical issue, here the relevant date which we are going to consider, it is going to be the date of payment of correct taxes. Another one additional point which I would like to discuss over here is, it says that whenever you have paid the wrong taxes and it is subsequently held, let's suppose you assumed a supply to be an intrastate supply and it was subsequently held to be an interstate supply. In this cases, you get the provisions of section 77 read along with section 19 of the GST Act being activated. Now friends, the point is, what is meant by subsequently held? Who should held or who should hold that this supply is an interstate supply? It was wrongly to be treated, it was wrongly assumed as intrastate supply. Who should hold that? Whether it should be held by the proper officer, or the assessee on his own self-assessment can also decide that earlier the supply which I had assumed to be an intrastate supply is in reality an interstate supply. So the question is, who should hold that? Here there is a circular which has clarified that it could either be held by the proper officer, or the officer or the assessee on his own self-assessment can also decide on the matter, can also analyze and decide on the matter that earlier a supply which was intrastate supply, which was treated by him to be an intrastate supply, is now in reality, according to the provisions of law, it is an interstate supply. So friends, the circular states that this subsequently held, it could be either based on self-assessment of the assessee, or it could also be based on an order which is being passed by the proper officer. So friends, this is all about the wrong taxes which is being paid. 2 points what we have discussed. In this case, the relevant date would start from the date of payment of correct taxes. Second point is what is meant by subsequently held. Subsequently held could either be based on the self-assessment of the applicant, self-assessment of the assessee, or it could also be based on an order of a proper officer. So friends, we have now come to an end of the shortest amendment series ever since the inception of GST. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any queries or if you want to get in touch with me, you can please write to me at the email ID which is mentioned over here. All the very best for your examinations.
Subscribe to LearnCab and hit the bell icon to get notified.